This morning we're starting a new series and we're calling it Your Story. Because here's what I want you to get out of this whole concept is that all of us have a story to tell, and oftentimes our story is not really the words that we use, but it's how we respond to the life that we've lived. And that kind of develops your story. And so my question for us to begin with today is not did you learn anything or did you learn any lessons, but did you learn the right lessons? Because if we don't learn the right lessons, we find ourselves repeating the same things over and over again. Right? You guys get that? So if you're asking yourself, why does this keep happening? Maybe there's something you need to learn, right? Okay, so as we get started this morning, think about this just a little bit. I've been in restaurants where I had a really bad waitress. Anybody have a really bad waitress? Now, if you're a waitress, just please forgive me. I'm just talking stuff. I don't know you. This is how it works. And I've gone to barbers and gotten really bad haircuts. Anybody got a really bad haircut? I mean, so bad that I had to go to another barber to cut it like super short. And I get home, Loretta says, "Your hair is so short. What happened?" Don't ask. It's not a good day. I've almost been run off the road by truckers that are just really bad drivers, and I've been cheated by mechanics. Anybody been cheated by a mechanic? I've dealt with foolish pastors, and I've talked to just doctors that were absolute jerks, and I've even dealt with law enforcement that treated me unfairly. And we've all done these kind of things, right? Now here's the deal. Not all waitresses are bad waitresses. Not all barbers give bad haircuts. Not all truck drivers are dangerous, okay? Not all doctors are jerks. Not all law enforcement is unfair. See, now, so here's where I'm going with this idea, is oftentimes the lesson that we learn is an isolated incident, and we build a belief system on something that happened in just a very small part of our lives. And that's why I'm asking you, is not did you learn a lesson, but did you learn the right lesson? Matter of fact, in our political system, we're faced with two really, really bad choices, right? I mean, think about Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Like, do I get stabbed in the left eye or the right eye? It's just crazy. But see, here's what I'm saying, is we want to learn the right lessons, and we want to make decisions that are the best for the generations that follow us. Does that make sense? And so even in the life lessons that you and I are learning today, we want to make decisions that are better for our future and not just simply based on our past. Now, are you catching up to me now? Now the reason I brought this up is it's Donald Trump says he wants to build a wall, and people are freaking out. Oh my God, this guy. And so it just stirred up all this kind of stuff. But here's the thought I have for you today. Aren't we all wall builders? Don't we all build walls? How many of us here today, something has happened, maybe you've been betrayed or somebody said something about you or you thought something was going good this way that didn't go so good, and you built up a wall after that happened to protect yourself. We, my friend, we are all wall builders. We all do it. So here's what I want you to get today. I'm not going to tell you to tear down your wall, but I'm going to ask some different questions, okay? Now, first of all, Jesus said this in Luke chapter 17 and verse 1. He said, "It is impossible to not be offended." Now, we're living in a culture now. Have you noticed that everybody's offended from everything? It's crazy. Well, I've even had people say, "Well, I don't like your shirt." So, but people get offended by everything. And here's what Jesus said. It's impossible to not be offended. You're going to have people talk bad about you. You're going to have people tell lies. You're going to have people that tell you that they love you and do things that are very unloving, right? It's impossible to not be offended. So we need to make sure that because we are going to be offended, did we learn the right lesson, or did we come to a prejudicial conclusion based on one incident? Okay, you with me now? And so thinking about this just a little bit, and the whole process is sometimes the lessons teach us the wrong lessons. Sometimes the lessons teach us the wrong lessons. So sometimes the lessons that we're supposed to learn, we kind of get it wrong. For instance, have you ever heard somebody tell a nostalgic story they make it sound really good and you don't remember it like it was really good? Have you noticed that? Be talking to somebody and say, "Hey man, remember that road trip we took? That was so much fun." We broke down twice. We got lost a lot. Oh yeah, that guy did rob us at the gas station. Other than that, it was a blast. But see, we have this crazy human survival skill where we kind of filter things through and we only remember the good parts and not the bad parts. And that's a great thing sometimes. But that same skill can be turned to reverse, where we go through situations where out of some kind of victory, we don't remember the victory, all we remember is the tragedy. So I'm not going back to that doctor. He gave me a shot and that really hurts, so I'm not going back. Yeah, but you didn't get typhoid fever, you know? And so what I'm saying is sometimes we learn the wrong lessons because the takeaway sometimes is just the pain or the frustration, or sometimes we respond to things, and what happens is we build the wrong kind of walls, all right? So think about this. Maybe God is going to take you back through something to teach you something new. Are we starting to settle in now? Say, God, why is this happening? Maybe God's wanting you to learn something new. Maybe God is going to turn this thing around. Maybe God is going to show you didn't get it right the first time, but you're going to get it right this time. What do you think? You think God might be trying to do something new in your life? I think so. I really do. And so that's what happened to the children of Israel. They kept going in circles until they figured it out. Now, with all that experience and all those problems and the detours and the hardships and the low blows and errors and mistakes that you've made, is what I want you to think about is, of course, we learn to be wall builders. We are all wall builders. That's how we do it. Those people that are not wall builders, we call those victims. Okay? Everybody builds walls. Everybody. It's just part of life. Okay? And so we're thinking about that. If you've had your car stolen, you put an alarm system in. That's a wall to protect your stuff. If you've ever had your bank account hacked, that ever happened to anybody? You put in something to protect. You put a protection system in. You put a wall between you and the people that will take your money. If you don't trust everybody that walks through your neighborhood, you lock your door, you put a wall in between the people inside and the people outside. See, we build walls all the time. We are natural wall builders, and here's what I'm saying to you and I today. It's okay. If you've talked to someone and they told you, well, you're a wall builder, you don't need to build walls, shut up. We're all wall builders because that's how we learn life. That's how we do it. That's how we respond to life. So I'm not telling you to tear down the wall or anything like this, but here's what I'm saying. So since we're all wall builders, instead of asking you to tear down the wall, instead of asking you not to build a wall, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. You ready? Here's the 3 questions. Is number 1, are you building the right walls? Number 2, are you building them in the right places? And number 3, are you building them for the right reasons? Are you building the right walls in the right places for the right reasons? Because if you don't, you actually hinder yourself and you miss out opportunities. For instance, if you build a wall between you and the people that really matter to you, you put a wall in between there because you don't want to get your feelings hurt, don't want things to happen. What you do is you doom the relationship because the separation creates distance. That distance will make it crumble. If you build walls between you and listening to the voice of reason, that's, I don't want to listen to it, I don't want to hear it. What happens is now you have to learn everything the hard way. I've had younger people say, well, why don't you let me make my own mistakes? Because it will kill you. See what I'm saying? So when we build a wall and so we don't want to hear it, we actually cost ourselves. When we build walls to where we can't get any help, it actually hurts us. When we build walls between us and God, because God didn't respond in a certain way, it didn't go the way we thought it should, or maybe we had a loved one pass away or something like that, and we put this wall between us and God, what happens is now we've isolated ourselves between us and God, and now that wall becomes our prison. And some of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Where we've built a wall to kind of isolate ourselves and protect ourselves, and pretty soon, you're the one that's got the prison going on. Okay, so with that in mind, thinking about that just a little bit, I want you to know that it's okay to build walls, but if you build the right walls in the right places and for the right reasons, it will actually help you. Look at this verse. This is Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 28. Proverbs 25, 28. Here's what it says. It says, whoever has no rule over his own spirit. Let me put it in a different way. If you ain't in charge of you, they in charge of you. Okay? Whoever has no rule over his own spirit is like a city broken down without walls. So here's what he's saying. When we don't have any kind of protection system, stuff gets to us. Anybody have certain stuff get to you? Have you noticed how there's certain people, as soon as they walk in the room, it just gets to you? Am I talking right group? Right? I mean, you see them, they just walk through the door, it's like, Or as soon as they say something, I mean, instantly you just want to just like jump on them. Like, Anybody got people like that? Right? See, there's certain stuff that always gets to us. Certain temptations always gets to us. Certain frustrations, certain things that are said. Have you noticed that some people, when they say things, you got like super defensive? Got any friends out here? What do you mean by that? Pass the salt. But you see what I'm saying? So what happens is, when we don't have rule over our own spirit, our city is broken down. And with no walls, all that stuff can get through. Right? Are you caught up to me now? And so here's what I already know about you. You are tired of the same stuff getting to you over and over and over again. You even tell yourself, why do you do that? Why do you get all bent out of shape? Why do you feel like you got to be venomous? You know, that. What's wrong with you? It's like, stop it. Or why do you fall to the same temptation? That kind of stuff. See, what I'm saying is, you have rule over your spirit. Your city's broken down with no walls. That stuff just comes in freely, right? So now, so the walls that we need in our lives, three areas, okay? Number one, we need walls in our life to protect our heart. Because sometimes we open our heart up to the wrong people and the wrong places. We talking to the right people? Okay? And so what happens when we open up our heart, people get in, and then we determine, when that's all said and done, we determine, you know what, I'm not going to trust anybody anymore. And then we imprison ourselves within that wall. So of course you have to guard your heart. But see, sometimes the lesson that you learned is a wrong lesson. Sometimes you think, well, I'm going to build a wall because I'm not going to let anybody in. See, it wasn't the anybody that got in. Sometimes it's the choices we make. And I've even told this to our daughter Jessica when she was a teenager. Your picker is broke. You're just really bad at picking them. See, it's kind of like this. It's like when you go to the dog pound, you pick a sad one. It doesn't work in relationships. Bad idea, right? And so what you do, you of course you have to have walls. You have to have protection to guard your heart. Because the stuff that gets to your heart gets inside of you. Okay? The second thing is you want to have a wall or protection system that guards the relationships that matter. Matter of fact, one of the lessons that I had to learn is sometimes I have to protect Loretta from me. Not that I'm violent, but I can just be a jerk. I know, I'm surprised too, right? But sometimes I overreact and my temper gets the best of me, this kind of stuff. So what I'm saying, so we put up a wall between what's wrong so that stuff doesn't keep getting to me. So you want to guard those relationships. And the third one is you want to have walls in your life. Build a wall that gives you a higher perspective of what God is doing in your life. Because here's the thing. You're going to be attacked. You're going to be, people are going to like throw the darts at you. And you're going to have people that jump on you. And if you don't have the right perspective, you can get engaged in battles you should not be fighting. For instance, how many of us have gotten involved in an argument, like halfway through the argument, you think, what the heck are we arguing about? I like white bread. I like wheat bread. Okay, let's get a divorce. That's crazy. So what I say, so we're going to focus on that higher perspective. The higher perspective so you can get a better view of what God is doing in your life. So we're going to use Nehemiah as kind of the model as we go through this. So Nehemiah, he's got this really, really, really great job. His only responsibility, check this out. His only responsibility, he's a taster. Yeah, a taster. He tastes the king's food and he tastes what the king's going to drink. Somebody says, what do you do for a living? I'm a taster. Cool job, right? Now here's the problem. The reason he's a taster is because some people wanted to poison the king. So if the taster tastes the food and the taster dies, the king doesn't eat it. Really crummy retirement plan. So anyway, he's doing this really good job, and he gets word that his hometown, Jerusalem, his home, is in ruins. And it breaks his heart. So here's what I'm saying for you and I. If the ruins that you see don't get to you, if it doesn't break your heart, nothing is going to change. But I think that you're not okay with some of the stuff that's going on, right? We're talking right people? You look around your life and say, you know what, this is not okay. And so it really got to Nehemiah. So he went to Jerusalem, and when he's looking around, the city is broken down. There's no walls. It's really tore up. And so as he's surveying the ruins ruined him. We need to get to the place where what we see gets to us so desperately that we are not okay to just simply do nothing. The real tragedy is when people that are living with the ruins are okay living with the ruins. We had some friends years ago, and we went over to their house to visit them, and she was not domestic at all. Should have been a tent. I mean, not domestic at all. And so we go in there, and I'm noticing things are in disrepair. You like that? I mean, here's how bad it was. To get a dish out of the sink, you had to snap it off. Because apparently, spaghetti is a great adhesive. Yeah, that just gross you out, right? And so she said, would you like anything? I'm good. So here's what I'm saying for you and I. When people are to the place where they're comfortable with a jacked up life, nothing's going to change. But you and I, we are the people of God. We look at the world and the culture that we live in and say, you know what? This is not okay. I don't want my kids to grow up with this. I don't want my family to deal with it. I don't want my marriage to be like this. I don't want my life to have these things in it. And we need to be challenged that way. So we decide, you know what, it's time that we do something. It's time that we do something different. So looking at all of that stuff and the deal, so what Nehemiah saw, it was incredibly overwhelming. Anybody ever look at your life and go, oh my gosh, look at this stuff, and it's just so crazy. And what happens when we look at this, we look at the destruction, we look at the frustration, we look at our relationship, we think, I don't know where to start. So here's what I'm going to share with you today. I'm going to help you find a place to start, to get your life back on track, to get things back in order, to rebuild the ruins. So where do you start? Proverbs 25:28. A man who has no rule over his spirit is like a city broken down without walls. Where do you start? You have to rebuild the wall. What the wall does, the wall keeps the stuff from getting through to you. Because in order for you to heal, in order for your spirit to heal, you have to get to the place where that stuff stops getting to you. So here's what I'm saying for you and I. If it's anger or bitterness or frustration or hurt feelings, if it's temptation or problem, whatever the case is, you fill in the blank, whatever's there. You know what's ruining your life. You know what's getting in and messing up what God is doing. You already know that. So what you do is you have to put that wall up because that stuff has to stop getting through to you because of the way that we respond. Have you noticed how certain people can say things and you get like super defensive? Anybody else do that? It's like, that's it. And so what happens? You have to have some kind of a protection system that keeps that from getting in. That's why you start with the walls. Now, when you start to rebuild your life and things are coming together, here's what I want you to get. You're going to face challenges. Has anybody else noticed when you're really trying to get your act together and you're trying to live for God and do things the right way, how people will push your buttons? Isn't that crazy? It's like they're testing you. You know, it's crazy. So this stuff is going to happen. So I want you to be ready for it. So I've got a great response. So we got to keep out what's getting in. So in Nehemiah chapter 6, verse 1 through 4, listen to this. This is awesome. It says, then Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem the Arab, and our other enemies, everybody say enemies, enemies, heard that I had rebuilt the wall, and there was not one gap in it, but I had not yet hung the doors and the gates. So Sanballat and Geshem sent me this message, come Nehemiah, let's meet together in Kephram, the plain of Ono. But they were planning to harm me. Let me give you Dave's version. There are forces out there that are trying to mess you up. There's challenges come to you, and they want you to defend your position. They want you to justify this. They want you to fire back on them. See, here's what it is when we're put down, we feel like we have to defend ourselves. When somebody says something, people say, well, they didn't mean it. Yeah, they did. We're challenged. That challenges. It challenges to do that when we're doing something good. They were planning to harm me. Verse 3, so I sent messengers to them with this answer. This answer. I'm doing a great work. You're here. You guys have pulled yourself together enough to get yourself in God's house. You're spiritually trying to get it together. Some of you guys never even saw that this happened. Some of you thought, well, I don't know if this is going to work. You, my friend, you are doing a great work. You're working on yourself. You're working on your family. You're working on your kids. You're working on your marriage. I want to tell you, I'm your pastor. I watch this. I talk to you guys. You're doing a great work. Way to go. You guys are awesome. You're doing a great work. And I love his answer. I'm doing a great work. I can't come down. Guys, this is just bare bones kind of simple stuff. In order for us to defend ourselves, in order for us to respond to the challenges, in order for us to engage in conflicts that don't matter, we have to lower ourselves to that level. And he says, I can't come down to you because if I come down to you, the work that God is doing up there is going to stop. Listen, this, as your pastor, this is just so important. We get caught up defending ourselves and stuff that really, it doesn't make a hill of beans. And what the challenge is trying to do is God is doing this incredible work in your life. You're building this wall. And I want you to lower yourself to defend what God is doing. You don't have to defend what God is doing. You don't have to justify that. You don't have to explain yourself. What do? You keep on the wall. You keep doing what you're supposed to do. Keep being who you're supposed to be. Because what's going to happen, the results are going to be your testimony. You don't got to worry about it. Your words really don't matter. But the life that you live, the life that your children see you living, that's going to make the difference. So that's what Nehemiah is telling them is, I'm not going to come down to your level. I'm not going to get in some dumb argument with you. I'm not going to deal with this kind of stuff. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stay on top of the wall. I'm going to keep building this wall. I'm going to keep making my family stronger. I'm going to keep making my personal life stronger. I'm going to keep making my marriage stronger because if I leave to go down to you, what God is doing up here is going to come to a standstill, and I'm going to have to start all over again. And frankly, I'm tired of starting over. So here's what I'm saying to you and I today. Stay on the wall. Don't get distracted by stuff that don't matter. Stay at it. What happens if they say stuff? You ready? You ready? So what? They're talking behind my back. Yeah, they do that. They're telling lies. I'll give you a membership card. Because it happens. But in order for you to defend yourself, you have to lower yourself to a level that is so much less than what God wants for you. Friend, don't do it. Don't defend the work that God is doing because you're doing a great work. The wall I'm building is my spirit man. And instead of a wall to keep others out, it's a wall to get me closer to him. And the closer I get to him, the farther I get away from dumb stuff. That's worth your nickel right there. Stay on the wall. If you're single, don't settle for less than God's best. See, if you lower yourself, it's not going to work out and you're going to find yourself starting over again. And that's so hard on you. If you're married, don't get caught up in all the chaos that's along the way to happiness. There's a million reasons to leave the work and go down to fight battles and deal with conflicts that are offensive. Like Jesus said, it's impossible to not be offended. I like to read that one to Colin Kaepernick. I'm offended. Why, yes, you are. Thank you for noticing. But see, if we judge our whole life based on a few isolated incidents, we are trapped in that prison of judgment. Stay on the wall. Don't get down. Let God keep doing the work that he's doing. And what you're going to find out is pretty soon, you're way stronger than you've ever been. You're tougher than you've ever been. You're more solid. And then you don't have to defend yourself because the results speak for themselves. Stay on the wall. Now, this week I had kind of a spiritual epiphany, if you will. Because I've noticed, I deal with people for a long time, and I meet a lot of people, and I've noticed how that some people seem to be vulnerable. Have you noticed how some people are vulnerable? For instance, like when a guy is vulnerable, he gets defensive over dumb stuff. Anybody you know those kind of guys? I'll tell you something, get really defensive. And then for ladies, it seems like they just eat a mile of crap. Have you noticed that? You look at the stuff they put up with and you go, really? And I thought, man, why is that? And I've never understood it, but then I feel like God kind of revealed to me the common denominator this week. It's fatherlessness. It's fatherlessness. Because it's fatherlessness that will make a man try to prove himself to other men. It's fatherlessness that tells a young woman that she has to be loved by somebody because she never really felt that kind of real honest love. It's fatherlessness that caused our nation to have a culture where we disrespect leadership. It's an epidemic. And I think God knew that we were going to deal with this. God understood our culture. God knew what the answer was. And that's why we have a father that loves his children. He's a good, good father. And like the father of the prodigal, when the prodigal turned around and came home, he went running to him with his arms open and said, you know what? You are not alienated. You're not a nobody. You're not a loser. You're not somebody that's a mistake. You are my son. You are my daughter. I've made room for you. I've made sacrifices for you. I bankrupt heaven for your benefit. God's answer to fatherlessness is Abba, Father. You're not a spiritual or relational orphan. You're his son and you're his daughter. And he's made a special place for you because he knows who you're supposed to be, and the work that he is building in you, the wall that's being built up, is raising you up closer to the arms of the Father. So Pastor Dave, I'm not perfect. Yeah, we know. I got problems. Yeah, we know that too. I don't feel like I'm getting very far. See, some of you, this is as far as you've gotten. And the enemy keeps calling you off and challenging you, and you defend yourself all the time, and so you're starting over and over and over and over again. Stay on the wall. Keep building what God is doing. Keep being who you're supposed to be. Keep loving on Jesus. Keep caring about your family. Keep believing in your future. Keep standing your ground. Pretty soon, you're going to have a wall built up that raises you up closer to God than you've ever been. And you will not fall prey to your weakness one more time. He's a good, good Father. And this whole story wraps up when this prodigal son is in the pig pen. He's living among the ruins, and he realizes, I can't live this way anymore. I can't keep doing this. My marriage can't continue to go this way. My family can't keep suffering these blows, these setbacks, and my personal life can't keep doing this. And he simply said, I will arise. Things are going to change for me right now. You're here today by divine design. No matter who you are, it's not so far gone, God can't rescue it back. I'm not telling you don't build a wall. I'm not telling you not guard your heart. But let's build the right wall. Let's protect what matters. Could I get you to bow your heads and close your eyes for just a moment, please? You know, I've looked at that story of the prodigal son probably hundreds of times. And one of the questions that I have that I don't think I've ever gotten the answer to is how long he'd been out there, how far away from home was it? I don't know. And I think the reason that I'm not supposed to know is because it doesn't matter. And I think every day, the Father scanned the horizon waiting for the silhouette of his Son coming over so he could celebrate. You're not too far gone. Things are not too bad. Your heart is not too broken. Your life is not too messed up because the Father has made a place for you. So while every head is bowed, everybody's eyes are closed here for just a moment. If it feels like today that I'm talking straight to you, this is your day. If this has caused your heart to kind of skip a beat and you're just kind of wondering, man, God, is this really for me? All I want you to do today is just simply raise your hand up and right back down so I know that it's you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. By doing that, all you're saying is just pray for me, Pastor Dave. Would you pray for me? If you haven't yet raised your hand, just do that real fast. Just up and right back down. That's all I'm saying. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. And see, I'm looking around, I'm noticing those hands because I want you to know I'm praying for you all week long, and I'm believing that God is going to just give you such a significant answer, it's going to blow you away. I wonder today if there's people in this room that you're ready to throw in the towel. You're done. You're wore out. You just don't feel like you can do it anymore. If that's you, just raise your hand and say, Pastor Dave, that's me, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. One last thing. Just one last thing. You feel like your life is too messed up, you don't even know where to start. Matter of fact, I think there's some people here, you wonder yourself if people really knew. If they really knew. If that's talking about you, could you just show me your hand just real quick? Say, Pastor Dave, that's me, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Could you all stand today, please? You know, honestly, not even building you guys up, you guys seriously look way better than the other two services, really. Really, you really do. Matter of fact, the first service, man, there's some ugly people. There's just... Now, I really am kidding there, but you know. But check this out. This is the power of prayer. I don't know if you guys remember, but about 3 weeks ago, I told you about a girl that Brother Eddie and I, we went to the hospital. We saw her in ICU, and the doctors told her mama that there's no hope at all, literally no hope. They pointed to that girl, and they told her mama, look, what you see now, her on the breathing tube, her with the feeding tube, that's as good as it's going to get. She's going to be a vegetable for the rest of her life. Anybody remember that? Yep. This morning in the second service, she come walking into the door and said, good morning, Pastor Dave. Wait. See, God does miracles every day. Every day. And see, and I'm just crazy enough to believe that your life could possibly be one of those miracles. Some of you said, it's going to take a miracle for my family to hold together. Nanner, you are in the right place. It's going to take a miracle for me to pull my act back together. It's going to take a miracle for my children to come home. I'm telling you, God is still in the miracle working business. Do not sell God short. Do not sell God short. Some of you are saying it's going to take a miracle for me to forgive. Forgiveness is a miracle. And this is your day.